Your Sastastic Life with hosts Trisha Rivas and Wendy Fredrigo.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
We're back. We're so excited to have Beth Holstein in the hot seat.
Oh, boy.
Hot seat. So
I feel it.
Do you feel it?
Yes.
Or is that coming from us?
Well, it
Our
could
hot
be
flash.
too. Yes. Yes.
I'm going to just do a little intro for you because you have so much to share. But what I love is that you have been a psychotherapist for 43 years and you've been a certified PSYCH-K. I want to make sure everybody knows what I'm saying. PSYCH-K, PSYCH-K instructor for over 25 years. And you do this in the Midwest, Brazil, and Portugal. So I would just want to start there. So we're going to be delving into the subconscious.
Yes.
And our beliefs.
Yes. So I was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and lived there until 14 and came here. Actually came as an exchange student and ended up just staying. Sometimes I almost feel like I was born here. I feel like I belong here,
Yeah.
So it's been a while. Because I was so young, all my studies were done here. So I graduated from high school here, excuse me, and went to college and graduated from Iowa State. So I was a teacher, an elementary school teacher for a couple of years. And during that time was when I began to feel like I really loved working with the children, but I kind of wanted to not work as a classroom. I wanted to work on a one-on-one basis. So decided to go to graduate school. So I graduated from Western Illinois University at the time in counseling, clinical counseling, and begun to practice. I practiced 4 years at the Clinton Mental Health Center. That was kind of crazy. The pace was really crazy. And the director of the mental health center was a psychiatrist from England and from Wales, actually. And he had a private practice and asked me, he knew I wanted to do something else. And he invited me to go into private practice with him. And we did. So for 28 years, that's what I did. We did together, actually. So I did family and couples counseling. I worked with adolescents. I worked with children, children who had been abused and so on and so forth. So I had part of my practice was also working with eating disorders. So actually, that was my thesis in graduate school. So I did like I was the jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Actually, and practiced for 28 years. During that time, I had gotten a lot of different certifications. I did EFT, I did EMDR, hypnotherapy, and I always knew that there was something which is called the subconscious mind that kind of guided us one way or the other, not necessarily our conscious acts, but there was something kind of running the machine inside. Therefore, I did all these certifications and they were all successful to a certain extent. But with everything I did, I would get to a point that I'd say, so this was so good. And why is it that it's not quite getting to where I want to go? So, for example, if someone would say, I love myself, and we would do all kinds of work over that. But then at the end, the person would come back a little while later and say, I felt really good after we did our work, but it's kind of back to where it used to be. So that really
didn't feel like it.
absolutely. It was almost like I could only do it for so long. But then now I know that there was something in the subconscious mind, a program that would say, nah, you don't love yourself. Okay. And interesting enough is that these programs come from, oh my gosh, 3 months before a child is born. So the program that the family has plays out with a child. And because until 6 years old, I have no filters. Okay. I cannot discern right from wrong, or is it real, not real. So I've begun to be very interested about that. I always loved energy psychology. So dealing with colors and sounds and things like that.
And Beth, what was it called?
Energy psychology.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So different kinds are different kinds. So I dabbed with everything. But one day in 1997, I find myself in Indianapolis at a conference. And Rob Williams, who is the founder of PSYCH-K, the originator, was giving a 2-hour presentation. And I read the thing and I thought, yeah, that sounds interesting, which was one way to transform limiting beliefs in your subconscious mind into beliefs that support you. I thought, there may be something to that. And so I started the class and I sat in the front seat, interesting enough. And as he began to talk, I began to think, really? Is that really true? And I was so excited. And at the end of the workshop, there was a little table, and I could have signed up for a workshop, a basic workshop, which is how we start PSYCH-K, in a month. So I signed myself up, even though it was 6 hours away. Out I go. I did the workshop. So Sunday I come home. Monday morning, I have my first client of the day who had been with me forever. That was the other thing. People just kind of came and went. 10 years, they're still coming back. So I opened the door and she had a bloodshot eye. Just one of them. And she looked at me and she says, look at me. And I said, well, what happened? She says, I have no idea. I went to bed last night, but I woke up fine. And this morning I wake up like this. I said, I don't know what it is. Anyway, let's do our session. So we started doing our session. And she says to me, did you go do that workshop? And I said, yes. She says, okay, let's do it. Let's do PSYCH-K. And I said, well, I just started.
Yeah,
She
just
says,
yesterday.
Let's do it. This was at 10 a.m. So we did our session. She goes home. 10 at night, I get a phone call from her. And she says, what did you do to me? And I said, what's going on? She says, no. I want to know what you did with me with this PSYCH-K thing. And I said, well, we did PSYCH-K and changed some beliefs. She had a son who was schizophrenic and she had a lot of stress about that. I said, so why are you asking me? She says, it's because my eyes are clear. My eyes are clear. I can see perfectly. And I automatically thought of Dr. Bruce Lipton, who is someone who is very famous and talks about the science of epigenetics and about how thoughts influence your biology. So the first thing that came into my mind was, he is right. When we change limiting beliefs that have been probably there for quite some time, we change your biology. And that was exactly what happened. So once we work with detoxifying the system, so to speak, right? Your biology says, okay, I'm fine. So therefore, I loved using PSYCH-K working with health issues.
Yeah.
Right? Because, for example, diabetes, right? Someone, Louise Hayes would say that it's like you need some sweetness in your life. Once you say the statement, I now have sweetness in my life, and we have protocols that we use to achieve this transformation. Okay. There we are. Okay. So there are, I have lots and lots of clients with all different kinds of MS and all different kinds of things that it's what the symptom does, what it causes in your system. Once we clear that, we're way to go. Okay. So that's my story. So now I've been in Des Moines For 15 years, I came to work at a clinic. It was an integrative practice clinic, and I was the clinical director there. And everybody who came to the clinic had a health issue that they didn't want to work necessarily with all kinds of medications. So the first person they would see would be me. They would have 5 sessions with PSYCH-K in transforming beliefs. So that was the beginning of Des Moines. So I've been here for that long. I have now, the only thing I practice is PSYCH-K because it works. So we don't complicate. Whoever comes to see me knows that they're going to be doing PSYCH-K.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have an office in my home. And here I am. Right?
How has PSYCH-K helped you with your own life?
Oh, boy. So remember what I said, I was stressed out to begin with, working at the mental health center. So as time went by, because I knew that there was a different way in dealing with things, that also had caused stress. So PSYCH-K for me, if anyone is ever to ask what is the biggest thing PSYCH-K can create, it's inner peace. And that was exactly what happened. So I went from someone who used to worry a lot, stressed out a lot, to someone who I'm pretty peaceful and I feel it. So that to me was the biggest change. Things that I did at work, working with not procrastinating so much. So that has been phenomenal. Creating clarity in my life about what I wanted to do. And that's the other big piece of PSYCH-K is to create clarity. That I know what I want as opposed to what I don't want.
Yeah. And most people are so
Opposite.
laser
The
focused
opposite,
on what
isn't
they
it?
don't want.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know?
It's almost like because we all want to avoid, and we think that because our belief is that if we avoid something, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the truth. That's, as a matter of fact, if I keep saying, I'm going to avoid this, because I create what I think.
Yeah.
I create what I don't want as opposed to what I want.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, I think about people that will say, well, I'm not going to purchase life insurance because that's going to put out into the world,
And then I'm gonna die a week
that
later.
I'm going to die, or
Absolutely.
I've heard that numerous times.
Superstitions.
Yeah.
I'm
right?
not gonna
If
make
I
a
do
will
this, if I do,
because I'll
yeah,
die
Exactly.
a week
Yes.
later.
Yes.
Yeah.
The will,
Yeah.
will thing.
Interesting. And when I worked at the clinic, there was one guy who came in and he sat down and he said to me, here's my story. My father died of a heart attack at age 51. But my grandfather, his father, died of a heart attack, age 51. And he says, I'm going to be 51 in 6 months. Oh,
Mm.
my. He understood
Yes.
that having the fear of it
Mhm.
and to think, how am I going to avoid this?
Mhm.
Actually would put him in that position. So what is different than that? How do we create health? Like every cell in my body vibrates to what's positive and loving. We call those our sentences, okay, our statements, our goal statements. So in PSYCH-K, we get really good at creating goal statements. We never use the word no. In PSYCH-K, we do not use the word no. So it's always the positive. What do I want? What do I want? What do I want?
So not saying I don't want to
Uh-huh.
gain 20 pounds.
Yes. I easily and effectively am a slim person. We don't use the word lose because if you lose,
negative.
your
It's
body's
negative.
going to go find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm. Oh,
No,
yeah.
really.
I always find it.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like you visualize, you do visual, auditory, and kinesthetics. So, how
Mhm.
do you visualize yourself as a thin person? Okay. So now you have that image, and that's what you want. Right.
So what kind of walk us through the journey when someone, a partner, would
Mhm.
come in
Right.
And I want you to talk a little bit about how you don't call them
Right.
clients or guests, you call them a
Right.
partner.
So I do explain that to them.
Yes.
The
I
first
love
thing
that.
is that as you're here today, I want you to know that you already have within yourself everything that you need to make these changes. You know how, you know what it is, okay? We just need to activate that potential in you, okay? So that is very comforting to people because once in a while I'll get somebody say, I do, I have all that. I say, yes, you do, okay? So I would love to hear from you what's been going on in your life, okay? And so what are your goals for today? What brought you here? So then as we do goals, okay, we're going to eventually have a goal statement that follows 5 items that positive, it's meaningful to you. It has to be really meaningful to you. Okay. But it's always in a positive. So in Psych-K, you would never see the word no or never.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're always consistently making up to what is your desirable state.
Mm.
What is it that you really, really want?
Mhm. Mhm.
Once in a while, people will say, wow, that's so hard. That's because they're not used to doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
little by little, that becomes fun, doesn't it? What is it that you want? Let me write in my book.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Because that's what you identify with.
Mhm.
Okay. What is the best thing in your life?
Yeah.
Now, Psych-K is not a miracle.
Yeah.
But understand this. Psych-K will work with what is supporting the illness in your system.
Mhm.
We all know that we are mind, body, and soul and spirit, right? So it's just not the body that I'm going to treat. But depression, Psych-K is wonderful for depression.
Yeah.
So being able to verbalize what is your desired life, like we're talking about, doing the map and people not knowing exactly the fear of change.
Yeah.
The fear of change. Fear has an acronym. Do you know what that is? It's false evidence that appears real.
Yep.
So don't trust that.
Yeah.
Just keep on going. So
You mentioned something, we were chatting a little bit before we started recording, and you were talking about most people think fear means you're supposed to stop.
Yeah.
yes, they see it as a red light.
Yeah.
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 So they stop, right? Fear is a yellow light. It only says go cautiously,
Mhm.
because we all have caution. I mean, that's a good thing to have,
Yeah.
right? But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't do what I'm about to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you stop, you have time to think
Mm.
about what is it that you want instead of that.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I work with people who fear heights. That's another thing that Psych-K is very successful. Fears of elevator,
Mm.
fear of height,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes fear, agoraphobia, fear of going outside. Okay. So the idea is tell me, how is it that you would like it to be that is different than this fear of heights? Then help the person expand in saying, okay, I'm seeing myself on top of a mountain and I will like to feel calm and peace as I am on the top of the mountain.
Mhm.
That's your desirable outcome.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Mhm. Very
Okay.
much so. Very much so.
With that, you teach, like all my partners learn how to speak that language. They get really good at it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Really good. And to me, that's the most important thing, is that they're able to verbalize things in their lives in that different way.
Mhm. I'm just thinking personally for myself that all hairstylists need to go through this.
Absolutely.
Oh.
I mean,
And I have a lot of hairstyle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really do. It-
Because you probably hear limiting beliefs.
yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. And
Yes.
and we're seeing more and more trauma sensories. And how do we help with that? What do we say?
Absolutely.
What can we hug them? Can we shake their hand? Do
Yes.
they want to have a scalp massage? How do we
Mhm.
shampoo their hair? I
Right.
mean, right down to what do you say to
Right.
them?
Right.
So
Right. It's interesting because sometimes when that happens, I end up finding out that as a child, there was not a lot of affection going on at home. And somebody would say something very simple like, I never saw my mom and dad kiss each other, or we were not huggers. So what does that mean to you? I would ask, right? Well, to be close to someone. So what's going on that you feel like it's not okay to be close to someone? And how would you like it to be different? Right? Because you're missing out on a wonderful experience, right?
Yeah.
So what is it that you want?
Yeah.
But we bring those things. We bring all kinds of one famous thing that I work with is people feeling they don't deserve
The limited.
they don't deserve the best life has to offer. They don't especially working with finances, they don't deserve good finances, right? Okay. And you look back and you think, oh, okay. So we go back a little bit and change those things. How would you like it to be? Right? Because I vibrate to money. I use a lot of that. Money loves me. And I love money.
Yeah.
Because most people say, I found myself stressing about it. I hate money. I never have enough.
Yes.
Or, I make 5 and I
Yes.
spend 10. Like I would just
Absolutely.
always have negative
Uh-huh.
towards money.
Or money is my best friend. Money works with me all the time. Oh,
Yeah.
when people start saying that, they can feel it because it's all about frequencies. So that's what PSYCH-K is that you're transforming those frequencies from a negative frequency to we all know how it feels in our heart, in our belly when we say something that feels really good.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Doesn't it?
Oh,
I call it fire in the belly. It's like,
yes.
I love that. Right?
Yeah, you want to bottle it up.
Absolutely.
You want to bottle it up.
Yes.
And never forget what that feeling feels like.
So can you explain? I've had the fortunate circumstance of doing sessions with you. So I would love for you to explain what happens next. So once you have those statements, but I'm like in the session, once you have these statements,
Right.
Can we talk about the muscle testing and explain what that is?
Absolutely. So one way that we access the subconscious mind is through muscle testing. Okay. So we call it applied kinesiology. Okay. So we do a little test, and there are 3 things that we work with, like, dislike, your name, the name, and yes and no. Now remember that no is not used in PSYCH-K. So when I say no, I'm going to be weak to it because my system is saying, not okay. Okay. So once we do that, access your subconscious mind. So you're going to say a statement, and we're going to verify if that's true or not. Meaning, does your subconscious mind sees it as a true statement or not? And if it doesn't, then we offer what we call balances. And that's where the work is. So it's a physical, you have postures that you do because we're working with the right brain and the left brain. Okay. So what we want, you have something in the back of your head called corpus callosum. Okay. And that's what all the nerves from the right hemisphere and all the nerves from the left hemisphere kind of do this. Okay. They come together. And it's in this that I have a neutral point. Okay. Where my system says, okay, I'm ready to accept something different than what I've lived up until now. And that's where we get you through the postures. Okay. So we have total 8 balances. Okay. In the basic workshop, which is a 3-day workshop, you learn 2 balances. Okay. You will learn how to muscle test. You're gonna learn how to muscle test with someone else, and you're going to muscle test with yourself. Okay. So that's where your work is going to start. Once you do that and you learn how to do it, then you're going to do a lot of personal work. And you do see a lot of changes. If you're strong, that means your subconscious mind agrees with it.
Yeah.
And if you're weak, your subconscious mind does not agree with it.
So depending on what you say, your arm will easily go down, or if it's true, it's strong.
Yeah.
So like a lie detector test.
Yes, it is. It is, but it's exactly like a lie detector test. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Because you know what? You will say your name and it's strong.
Mm-hmm.
You say a different name and it's weak.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Because
Mhm.
your system knows who you are.
Yeah. Oh, I find this stuff.
It's
It
fascinating.
is
isn't
very,
it?
very fascinating.
The whole field of neuroscience. I mean,
Yes.
all of this
Mhm.
now that we know how to live in the quantum world, right?
Mhm.
There is a very important lesson that maybe this would be interesting for who's listening. Is we call it the quantum field, and let's pretend there is a lake, a beautiful lake, and in my hand I have a stone, and the stone is permeated with negative thoughts. Let's say thoughts about myself. I'm not pretty. I'm too fat. Blah, 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 blah. And I throw the stone on the lake, and what I see are usually ripples, right? Now, interesting enough is that every ripple has the same frequency of my thoughts. So if they're all negative, I'm going to attract all that to me.
Mm.
Listen to that,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
If it's the opposite and that rock is permeated with I love myself, I'm competent, huh? Right? And I throw it, everybody who's going to get close to me will vibrate in the same frequency. So I'm going to begin to attract all those people in my life, right? So remember that. It's not that you woke up in the morning with the wrong foot. This has a science,
Yeah.
okay? And it's like that for all of us, with no exception. So the whole idea of creating in your life comes from that. What do I want, right? So, and I put some oomph to it,
Yeah.
right? As we do it with the maps, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and I can feel it, the frequency. It's something positive, right? I
Yeah.
want the house like this, like, and you begin to grow those feelings. As you do that, you're attracting. That's what's called the law of attraction,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
We all know
And
that.
that does not lie.
No.
Yeah. I got to experience this. I remember, well, we all know what it's like when you're in a bad mood and everything's bad, then everything you see is bad. But I'll never forget, I had spent time at a coach retreat with all these positive people, all of this great stuff. I had been on a retreat with church. And so I was just in this like very just I mean, I was vibrating so high, like just so great, right? Well, who likes going to the airport? I mean, it's usually not a positive experience, but I'll never forget. I was at that airport and everyone I saw was smiling. And everywhere I looked, people were
Absolutely.
hugging and happy to see each other.
But that's
Everything I
exactly
saw
that.
on
Yes.
the news was happy.
Yeah.
Everyone I
Yes.
talked to was happy. I mean, I was like, it was so amazing.
Yes.
But then I didn't
Yes.
realize till I got home. I'm like, that's because I didn't show up there complaining.
Yeah.
I didn't,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? I just showed up in such a different way.
Absolutely.
Such a different way.
Absolutely. I have a lot of friends who will say to me, "We love going out with you
Mm. Mhm.
because when we go out with you, people open the door for us." I mean,
Yeah.
there is an explosion of kindness with people we don't even know what
Yeah.
goes on because you're vibrating in that way. I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's kind of addicting to me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Mhm. Oh, very much so.
Well, like
Yeah.
you're saying, so when you're doing someone's hair and they transform, and that's the perfect example from what they're not liking at the moment
Yes.
to something that they really like. They even sit higher on
Oh,
the chair,
yes.
you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Mhm.
There is a twinkling in
Mhm.
twinkling in their eyes. It's just,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a lot of fun. So,
So tell me who, I mean, obviously everyone can benefit from
yes,
doing
Yeah, I was
this
just gonna
work and
ask that.
just doing the
yes.
basic workshop, but
Yep.
who do you find um that this is super duper helpful for? Like I know you mentioned coaches, that
Yes.
totally makes sense to me.
Yes. Yeah. And coaches are perfect because, and business people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because, it's sometimes feeling stuck.
Yes.
And then even though you know a lot of things, you can't get out of it. or at least you haven't been able to get out of it. So I have a lot of business clients too. People who have been sad, depressed, people who have wanted and desired a different life. And sometimes they feel like, am I being selfish? That's another one, right? Am I wanting too much? Why is it that I cannot be satisfied with what I have? And these voices can come way from the past. You're never happy with what you have. I give you everything, isn't it? Okay. So they're kind of stuck. They feel they're stuck, that they cannot move on in life doing whatever, either attracting a new relationship, right? Especially if they've been through experiences in the past that were not so great.
Yeah.
Right. But even relationships with family members, right? That family is chaotic and nobody gets along. And I don't like visiting anybody. Oh my gosh, Christmas is coming. Do I want to be there, kind of thing. Even just feeling a little melancholic that life is just not kind of like life is the pits, right?
Yeah.
So needing a new purpose,
Yeah.
right? And being able to have the courage to make those moves, so that they can experience that, right?
You
And
also
be
mentioned that
successful.
you often work with nurses.
Yes.
They're this is a
Yes.
good skill for them to have.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, with the basic workshop, I'm offering credits, CNEs and
Nice.
CEUs,
Yes.
not only for holistic nurses and nutritionists. So, and that's all in the site. So going into the PSYCH-K site, the psych.com, and putting my name, Beth Holstein, you will see the day of the workshop, how to sign up, and so on and so forth. So, and that would explain to the nurses what they need to do.
Yes. So
To
I will
get their
make sure-
CNEs.
I will have all those links in there. But I wanted to mention that you're just one of two in the Midwest who is a PSYCH-K instructor.
Yes. Yeah.
And then
amazing.
you also are going to be you do this in Portuguese. You do
Yes. And I'm the only instructor who teaches in Portuguese. Isn't that cool?
That's amazing.
That
Yeah.
is
Tell us all the amazing places that you've gotten to lead the workshop.
Yeah. So I do Brazil. So I go there for the last 15 years. I've gone there twice a year. And I teach all workshops. So we have the basic workshop that is the prerequisite for all the other ones. Then there's the advanced. There is the master facilitation. And there's something called divine integration. And there's something called health and wellness. And they're all modules of 3 to 4 days. Okay. So after you do one and you practice for a little bit, you can take the next one and so on and so forth. And I provide all of them here.
Yeah.
So not only here, but also in Brazil.
Yeah.
I also go to Portugal. So I'm going to be going to Lisbon in September. And I go to Michigan, Wisconsin, Minneapolis. I
Minnesota.
go
Yeah.
a lot to Minneapolis. I'm going to be teaching one in July. I do Nebraska, Kansas City, okay, Omaha, so Midwest. Okay, so you will be seeing lots and lots of workshops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Beth, I do have to ask before we're done. What about grief?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Frequently, actually, I'll get someone who either has lost someone through death, someone who's ill, which is a part of grief too, because the person is no longer as present in their lives as it is. It could be divorce, breakup of a relationship, losing, believe it or not, losing money.
That's grief.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Going through a bankruptcy, for example, that's something that is frequent.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And with grief, we also work with forgiveness.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes there's a statement in Psych-K that I forgive Mary for leaving me. This is someone, Mary died of an illness, and there's still a lot of anger involved with Mary because Mary got sick and Mary died. You know, so absolutely. We have 8 categories of transformation in Psych-K. So grief and loss is one of them.
Sure.
Personal power, self-esteem, relationships,
Yeah.
prosperity.
Everything that makes us up as a human.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
An
in the
energetic
basic
human.
workshop, we work with all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
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 So you are going to be having a basic workshop
Yes.
in June,
Yes.
June 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So it's 3 days.
It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yes.
And so when this podcast goes live, that following week, you and I are going to hop on and do a Facebook
Yes.
Live.
Yes.
And so at that point, you know, I'll see if people want to email me questions or
Okay.
if just people ask questions live.
Yes.
So we're just going to do a live
Yes.
that day.
Yeah.
And just
I love doing lives,
Right?
and I do them all the time. So
Mhm.
absolutely.
just to let people know like who it's for, why it's for. I
Yes.
think what's great about this is you don't have to be a coach. You don't have
Right.
to be a nurse. Like,
Yeah.
even if you just go and learn just 2 of the balances for yourself.
Absolutely.
And
And the
huge.
interesting thing, and I'll add to that, I also go to Florida because they have a huge Brazilian population.
Yes.
So when I go, I teach in Portuguese.
Mm.
But there's also a large population of Brazilians right here in Des Moines, Ames, Iowa City. So if there's ever an interest for me to teach in Portuguese, I would be more than happy to do it. So
love that.
that's something that it's a given.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I
there
love
we
that.
go.
So yeah, we'll link everything and we'll make sure that
We'll be linked.
we're just linking all the links. So we always love to ask people this question. If we could hop in a little time machine, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Oh my God, go for it.
Mm.
Just go for it. It's all there for you. If I knew at 18 that I had come to this life already with everything I needed to have, that would have been wonderful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was the change. I used to be a worrywart. And my mama used to say, you're worried too much. I don't have a worry in the world. But at 18, I didn't want to have a worry. So that would be live your life. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Life is wonderful. So
Yeah.
it's all there for us. Just come and get it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That needs to be on a shirt.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people do the doom scrolling and there's plenty of
Oh gosh, yeah.
the negativity on that. And so it's so easy to and it's programming,
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
what it is.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
you know. So
We've
like,
all been programmed in the best way that we can
Mhm.
and in the worst way.
the best
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
they've done it the worst in the best way because it feels good, right? Because you're getting
Mhm.
these dopamine hits of the
Absolutely.
stuff you're seeing. So I mean,
Yeah.
there's me on my soapbox again, but
But that's true.
It is true.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's very, very true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
so what would be one thing that you want, a parting thing that you want all of the listeners to know?
That there's always an opportunity to make some changes and that we all can make the changes. The opportunities are everywhere. We just need to go find it, right?
Yeah.
And I need to start trusting my own power in creating the things that I want in my life. We can create everything. I promise. We can create everything.
Mhm.
We just need to work through it, right?
Yeah.
We need to believe that we can,
Yeah. Mhm.
right?
We all need just a little mini Beth to just sit on our shoulder. Beth in a pocket.
Yeah, there's something that's sad is that if I think I can and if I think I can't, I'm right.
Mm.
Right?
I'm right either way.
Yeah.
So choose.
Yep. Mm.
Love it. Mic drop,
Yep. Exactly.
but not drop. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Thank you for having
you.
me. I mean, this is wonderful.
Oh.
I feel like I'm a movie star. So thank you to all three of you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Really
you.
Spirit.
appreciate it.
Spending
We'll be
your
seeing
time
each
with us.
other
Oh,
again.
yes, we will.
Yes.
We will for sure.
Yes.
Yes, we'll be manifesting some stuff again in May
Yes.
with our
yes, yes,
second
yes.
Moo Moo class.
Aha.
And the more we learn from you, the more we can really.
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn more just to help my coaching
Absolutely.
clients because
Yes.
it's really great and easy to get people excited, but how do you
Yes.
keep it going and
Yeah.
how do you not just go home and then just go back into your
And
life?
interesting is that this will add to your coaching because
Yes.
as you have the mapping, the moo part,
Mhm.
and we hear what we heard when we were here, because I was in one of them,
Yes.
that you can kind of go from there into, but this is how we can change. So
Yes.
when you say, call me, right, contact me, you have the perfect thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fast.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I can.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
I
don't
can
need to
attest
be.
to that.
I would never do therapy with anybody for 10 years anymore, ever in my life.
Yeah.
There's no need,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Thank
Mm.
you.
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you're feeling excited and empowered because I sure do.
I know. Seriously.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Your Sastastic Life is produced by Apex Creative. Go to apexcreative.vip. That's APEXX creative.vip.